The Anunnaki are a group of deities that appear in the mythology of the ancient Sumerians, also Akkadians, Assyrians and Babylonians. Amazingly, they are also mentioned briefly in the Bible. The Anunnaki are a mysterious, legendary, otherworldly entity. There are many documented scriptures of them from our ancient past. We must give consideration to the facts being somewhat blurred by various abilities of translators and, of course, the passage of time. The most comprehensive and lengthy depictions can be found in the Sumerian tablets.
In old Sumer, there were tablets found, and on these tablets you see beings which in archaeology they called winged gods or winged geniuses.
Before we cover the Sumerian knowledge of these ancient gods, we can also consider the similarity of the recorded chapters in the Bible. Here, the race are mentioned in several verses and named as the Nephilim. Examples include Genesis 6:1, which dates back to the very beginning and actual creation of men.
When people had spread all over the world, and daughters were being born, and it came to pass, when men began to be numerous upon the earth, and the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took as wives, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply.
Then Genesis 6:4 reads as follows.
The Nephilim were in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. The same were the mighty men that were of old, the men of renown.
And as the Bible says, they saw that the daughters of men were beauty, so they took them to wife. By the way, in sort of the Bible translation, they say, the fallen angels saw that the daughters of men were beauty, and they took them to wife. What is a fallen angel? They who descended. And not only in the Bible, you find this absolutely clear again in the book of Enoch. Enoch gives even the names of 36 of these extraterrestrial figures, which say, we want to go down there, we want to have sex, we want to do this, even if it's against what the Lord is the commander of the spaceship, says. And they had sex, and the result was some different creatures and giants and all these things.
In the Bible, this race of giants are called the Anakim. They are mentioned in the conquest of Canaan by the Israelites. According to the book of Numbers, Anak was a forefather of the Anakim. The Bible describes them as very tall descendants of the Nephilim, the daughters of men and sons of gods, and also fallen ones who existed before the deluge. The term Anunnaki has been translated in various forms and is the source of much controversy. Renowned author Zecharia Sitchin claims he has translated them as those from heaven came. Many scholars claim their interpretation is those of royal blood or those of princely offspring.
One friend and colleague of mine was Lawrence Gardner. He was tracking the whole significance of certain bloodlines going back into Mesopotamia. I was encountering exactly the same information coming in to my investigations of an alien presence on this planet and throughout the solar system. We found that we met at sort of a same point, and that was that in Mesopotamia, that all of the Anunnaki were supposed to be reptilian. And that the reptilian biology had blood that was dominated by copper. And that they literally had blue colored blood. We have red because we have an iron dominant blood. So our discussion from his history and my trying to get into it through aliens that have been dominating the earth was that the blue blood reptilians of Mesopotamia led to a group called the Merovingians. And the Merovingians tie later in the timeline directly to France, Germany, and that area of Europe, because for some reason, that bloodline, the blue bloods, went to Europe.
everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. When you begin to study the ancient world, you can't help but notice the similarities between various cultures. But one of these similarities has been a real head-scratcher for researchers, and that is the inclusion of what some people identify as a handbag in ancient art. The shape appears in art created by the ancient Aborigines of Australia, the ancient builders of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the Sumerians, the Maori of New Zealand, the Olmecs of Central America, and many more different cultures. They are one of the earliest known symbols drawn or carved by humans, and although huge amounts of time, as well as great distances, separate the Earth's ancient civilizations, these peculiar bags seem to be a common feature in ancient art across the globe. They are strongly associated with deities, and are without doubt a symbol of great importance. But if you ask 10 different researchers for their interpretation of these, you are likely to hear 10 different ideas. Nobody knows what they are, or what they represent. Are they ancient batteries, a water vessel, or breathing apparatus for ancient aliens? Are they part of an ancient initiation ritual, or are they just symbolic? The oldest depiction of the bags in ancient art is found in Arnhem Land in northern Australia, and is thought to be approximately 15,000 years old. The image in question, found at Injalak Hill, is of the goddess Yingana, known as the Earth Mother. According to an old creation myth, the Yingana carried babies in her bags. As she travelled far and wide, she scattered her babies, giving rise to different linguistic groups and tribes. There is also another depiction of the goddess giving birth. One of the main features of the Aboriginal rock art are numerous thin, elongate humanoid figures known as mimis or mimis, as well as countless depictions of animals. Mimis are said to have taught the ancient Aborigines how to hunt, to paint, to perform rituals and ceremonies. They brought knowledge, they were wise, spiritual teachers. Over in North America, the petroglyphs in the Coso Rock Art District show multiple bags on one rock face, and are believed to be more than 10,000 years old, and they could well be the same age as the Australian depictions. Some researchers believe that in this image, the bags carry the seed of life. Like in Australia, there are also petroglyphs of strange human-like figures, and a huge amount of animals. Could this be a mere coincidence? If we then look at the ancient megalithic site of Göbekli Tepe, which is around 12,000 years old, 3 bags appear on Pillar 43, the so-called vulture stone, which made the news in 2017, as experts said that that stone told the story of a comet impact on Earth. Also found at Göbekli Tepe is a carving of the Earth goddess giving birth, and of course there are countless animal carvings and reliefs across the site. All 3 of these cultures are from roughly the same time in history, around the end of the last ice age, which many believe was the time of the not-so-mythical Great Flood. The striking similarities between the art of these cultures is uncanny. Is it just a coincidence, or could each culture actually be scattered remains of the lost ancient civilization, telling the same ancient legends? Do the bags represent the seed of life? Are we seeing the belief system from one culture now spread around the world? We don't see the bags again for several thousand years, but they feature prominently in ancient Mesopotamia, and, like with the Australian example, they are strongly associated with deities. From 3500 BC, the area around the Tigris and Euphrates rivers were the home of various Mesopotamian cultures, including the Sumerians. Their gods were known as the Anunnaki, and they seem to be the basis of the ancient astronaut theories, as texts define them as those who from heaven to earth came. In ancient Babylonia, the term used to describe the Anunnaki was Sir, S-I-R, which when translated means big serpent.